and the meeting is yours, Alan.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you for everyone who's doing service, who managed to put this incredible meeting on here today. Man, the guys in, where was it, Jericho? The guys that were waving. Let me see if I can find you on my, yeah, the Jericho boys. And there's some other people that were waving. I can't remember the other guys as well. Where are they? I can't seem to find them on my screen. There's Serene. I can see Serene on the screen. HP, that's it. The HP massive. I can see them. I see you guys. Yeah. Hey, listen, man. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Man, listen, guys. I don't know where what you've seen, but there's something that springs to mind for me. And that is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. He gets a golden ticket. He gets a golden ticket, right? And he follows what he's supposed to do while he's in this factory. And he ends up with everything. And all I can tell you, if you are sitting in this room today, not because of me, I'm just a very small part of this. But if you are sitting in the room today, please believe me, you have just now unwrapped the golden ticket. Seriously, you have no idea, or maybe you do, the incredible program and this incredible miracle, this gift that we have just been given. I cannot tell you how excited I am about my life today and what Narcotics Anonymous has done in my life. I'm a crackhead. I'm a crackhead from London. I could not stop using crack cocaine. I could not stop drinking. I could not stop putting things inside my body. I didn't know what was the matter with me, man. Do you know what I mean? I tried everything to stop using and I just couldn't do it, man. And I went to various treatment centers like yourselves, and treatment was brilliant. Treatment was absolutely brilliant because treatment got me clean. And I should have listened to them, but I didn't listen to them. Narcotics Anonymous is what keeps me clean. It keeps me clean. I come from a family. I've got two brothers. I've got two sisters. We all got brought up in the same way. Yet I was the one who just could not stand being in reality. There just seemed to be something wrong with me. Even before I picked up drugs, there just seemed to be something wrong. I always needed something more. I always felt awkward. I never felt completely comfortable in a crowd. I would always be, over the top, over exaggerated, because I wanted to fit in, or I'd always feel less than, I mean, if I was in a crowd of people who used to go out and commit crime, I would always want to be the one to impress. I would always be the one leading because I needed something to prove. And I just felt uncomfortable in my own skin. And when I came to this program, I thought that drugs was the problem. But drugs wasn't the problem. What drugs was the solution. It was the solution to this other problem which I had. And that might sound crazy to some people, but I'm talking to addicts, man. You guys know what it feels like. The first time I actually, took crack, the first time I had a drink, I had this release that came over me. It was just like a pressure valve that was building up. And the minute I could have that first pipe or that first drink, I just felt like, just for a few seconds. And I spent absolute years chasing and chasing and chasing that release from life, man. And it took me to prison. It took me to so many different places, man. I totally and utterly ruined my mum's life. Things got so bad that my mother used to walk past me in the street. And I didn't understand why I kept on smoking, because I was one of these paranoid smokers. I wasn't a smoker that could smoke and I met this girl, and the girl that I used to smoke with, like my little using partner, she would smoke and she would open up the curtains, she would put on the music, she wants to talk. I would smoke and I would go completely paranoid and I couldn't talk. And what she used to do, she used to wait until I had my first little smoke. And then she would start talking, and then she would start stealing my drugs. And she knew that the minute I had my first smoke, she would say things like to me, like, I'll have it, and I would go numb. And then she would say things like, do you mind if I have a little bit of yours? And because I couldn't talk, because I'm frozen, she would say, thank you. And I could see all of this going on around me, but I couldn't do anything about it. And every single time before I would smoke, I would set all the boundaries, right? I would say, I'm not going to get paranoid this time. I would look outside and make sure there's no one coming. I would look underneath the door. I'd make sure that there's no one there, like there's absolute, because I'd get so paranoid. I'd think people have come in. I would say to myself, this time I'm making sure this girl does not rob me. It's not going to happen. I would set all the boundaries, everything. And the minute I have that first smoke, I would go into freeze mode again. And I would get into paranoia again. So what I was doing, I was paying to be paranoid. I was paying to be scared. But I just couldn't stop doing it, man. I don't know if anyone can really identify with what I'm talking about here. You know, we have a book, and the book is called The Basic Text. And it tells us in the basic text, it says that families were baffled by our behavior. Have you ever had any wave your hands. Have you ever had any family members who are just baffled by your behavior? They're like, why would you do that? Like, why would you do that? Like I had friends, right, that were all selling drugs, right? And what they would do, they'd come around and they would say, bro, you need to stop it, man. Like, we're all making money here and you're just smoking everything. You know, look, you're making us look bad. Right. And then they would say, listen, you need to promise us you're going to stop smoking the stuff that you're supposed to be selling. And I would say, listen, man, I'm going to stop. They said, you promise? I said, yeah. Okay, here's an ounce of cocaine. Sell it. Don't smoke it. A monkey is going to eat nuts. You know, doesn't matter what you say, it's gonna happen. Do you know what I mean? So they were baffled and confused. I was baffled and confused. You know, I had my cousin, right? My cousin, you know, me and him smoked together. You know, we did everything together. And what he did, he met this girl, and he did something which completely and utterly surprised me. Completely and utterly, up until now, he met this girl and said, I'm not going to use no more. And he stopped. And I thought, for years, I didn't understand how he could stop. Because me and him were using exactly in the same way. I thought he was just like me. But given sufficient reason, he could stop. But I couldn't. And it was only later when I opened up, came to you guys in Narcotics Anonymous, they told me what an addict was and what makes me an addict. What makes me an addict is my reaction to drugs, not how much I use. See, this guy was using just as much as me, but his reaction to drugs was different to mine. You see, I never just got a reaction to drugs when I was using. I had a reaction to drugs even before I used. Because just the thought of me getting drugs, my belly would start to turn. And I want to go toilet. Has anyone experienced, any of you lot experienced that? I need to know you guys are with me. Wave your hand if you experienced that. A reaction to drugs. Even before I use, I would start sweating. I want to go toilet. I can't, I feel anxious. That's even before I put drugs in my system. And the only thing that would stop my mind and stop that body reaction is just taking that first one. But then all the drama would start. I didn't know what was the matter with me, man. You know, I had a daughter and I loved my daughter, man. And the mother of my of my first child, my daughter, she said, "You're not going to be able to see your daughter if you carry on like this." And I used to make promises to myself, like, you know what, Aaron, if you use, you're not going to get to see your daughter again. You need to not use. In England, we have something we call gyro, right? So every 2 weeks, they'll send you your money. And I would say, listen, if I use, I'm going to spend all my gyro. I'm not going to have nothing to eat for the next 2 weeks. And I'm not going to be able to see my daughter. So I can't do it. Tomorrow, I need to turn up for my daughter. No matter what happens, I'm not going to do it this time. Has anyone ever made promises to yourselves where you say, no matter what happens, I'm done? All of the consequences in my life, my life is falling apart. I'm not going to use anymore, man. And I'd get on the bus and the day would be going okay. And I'm not thinking about using, well, maybe a little bit, but I'm not obsessing about using, you know, and all of a sudden the thoughts will become stronger and stronger and stronger in my mind. And I'm sweating and I'm trying to bat all the thoughts away. And I'm trying to, you know, and I just can't get rid of these thoughts. And I just have to get one. And I believe the lie. The lie is, Aaron, you're just going to have one. And the minute I have that one, I'm off and running and I have to have another one. When I came to NA, I realized that that was called obsession and compulsion. These are the two components that make up addiction. And I kept on buying the lie. I kept on telling myself, it's going to be different this time. It's going to be different this time. And my life slowly but surely started to deteriorate. And then my mum came with a brilliant idea. My mum said to me, Aaron, I'm going to take you to one of the top psychiatrists in the country. He's running a group in the center of London. It's going to cost us a lot of money, but we're going to pay for it. And we're going to find out what is the matter with you. So I went to this group and it was a fantastic group. There was a policeman. There was a lawyer. There was some millionaire guy. There was a did I say a priest? There was a few of us in this group, right? And we all sat down and he started to draw this diagram. And in this diagram, it showed the brain and what happens when we use and what's been happening to my brain over the last how many years. And it was about the neural pathways, right? And he showed me what's happened is you've used for so long that it's created all of these neural pathways in your brain. And they're unhealthy pathways. And no matter what you do, you're still going to keep on using because you've got these unhealthy neural pathways that have been created by yourself in your brain. And then he said to me, what you need to do, you need to create brand new neural pathways in your brain to overtake the old neural pathways. You need new ones. And then he told me about the front of the brain is the decision-making process. You make bad decisions. This is all mucked up. So you need to, and I'm writing all of this down. You know, I'm writing the same diagram and I'm walking out there with all this information about how the brain works. And I'm thinking, well, boy, he's the top psychotherapist in the country, man. Like I now I understand what's going on with me. And I got on the train and I'm sitting and I'm thinking about the brain and I'm thinking to myself, I understand. I got it. And then the thought came, I'm going to get one because I understand about the neural pathways now. And tomorrow I'm going to build new neural pathways. That one ended me up in prison because I couldn't stop. And I learned it doesn't matter about how much information I have about addiction, about the brain, about the neural pathways. I am absolutely powerless. And I was in a crack house when I came out of prison. I used to make all of these prison decisions. I call them prison decisions, right? And it was always when I was coming out, you know, I was coming out, they're about to release me. I've got a prison decision that I'm not going to use anymore. I know what it is. It's the area that I live in. That's what it is. If I move from that area and I go to this area, because there's too many black people in this area and I think it's them. So I'm going to go over there, right? And I think maybe if I'm over there with a different set of people, I won't use. Yeah, this is just the mad thinking. Yeah, the mad thinking, right? So I've gone over somewhere else after coming out of prison, making all of these decisions that I'm not going to use. And the minute they open up the prison doors, the thoughts start to come. The thoughts start to come, you know, and I'm just talking about the absolute madness, man, of using, man. And I met this girl. And what happened was you know, I had this girl. I was with somebody who I had hostage. You might as well say she was a straight goer. Yeah, you know, and I was emotionally. I had this girl hostage, man. So I did this this robbery and I got some money together, and I was about to go and score and I couldn't because she turned up. So I was living in a hostel, and the girl next door to me, I said to her, look, I can't really score at the moment. You can take the goods and you can go and score. And she was amazed because addicts don't normally do that. I think it was an act of God, but addicts don't normally do that, man. So she said, are you for real? I said, I can't smoke because my girlfriend's there. And anyway, she's come back 2 days later and said, because what you did for me, I want to return the favor. And she gave me my drug of choice. She gave me a pipe. And I always say it was love at first pipe. That I couldn't believe that she came back and gave me something. And we started this relationship together, man. We were like Bonnie and Clyde. We went out robbing together. You know, we were absolutely inseparable. And there was a time when we went and she was a good burglar at that time. And she said to me, listen, I'm going to go burgle this house. She said, I want you to stay in the car. I'm going to go and burgle the house, right? So I stayed in the car. And then my head said to me, imagine if she takes things and doesn't tell me she's got them. She's going to end up selling them and smoking more than me. I ain't staying in no car. So I've come out in the house as well. Now it's nighttime. The people are sleeping upstairs and me and this girl are downstairs. And she's saying, what are you doing here? I told you stay in the car. And I said, I'm not staying in the car because I don't trust you. And then we start arguing inside the house. And then we say, all right, stop arguing. We need to just burgle the house and get out of here. So she's saying to me, listen, we need the video recorder. I want you to take the iPad. I'm saying, no, we don't need the video recorder. What we need to do is get the jewelry. So we're arguing in this house. The people are sleeping upstairs. Anyway, we managed to get out the house. We managed to load up the car and we're driving down the road and she stops the car. I said, what are you stopping the car for? And she said, I just want to acknowledge this moment. And I said, what? And she said, it feels like our first date. And I said, what are you talking about? She said, we've just done our first burglary together. Don't you think it's special? And I looked at her and I said, yeah, man. And we just had this romantic, insane moment. And then we carried on driving and arguing about where we're going to buy the crack. You know what I mean? And that, you know, our literature, it tells us that drugs changed us into people that we didn't really want to be. You know, and that's what drugs done to me. You know, there's many stories that we can find quite comical, but there's a serious side to addiction. You know, and we had children together. You know, and there were times when we used to barricade ourselves inside the room, and we would be smoking, and the kids would be at the door knocking and knocking for hours, man. And what addiction does, it robs our ability to feel emotion. It robs our ability to care. It robs our ability to be parents. You know, it robs our ability to be children, to be friends. Do you know what I mean? It just robs it completely, man. And you know, and we had a baby. That there were times when, you know, the disease was so strong, we needed to have the baby in the room with us, but we're barricading the door. We've got everything all closed, and we're smoking in the room with the baby in the cot next to us. And that is real powerlessness, man. And I remember being in treatment at times, and people would say, you know, do you love your children? And I would say, yeah, I love my children. And they would say, but you can't put down drugs for your children, Aaron. You can't put down drugs. And now I'm in Narcotics Anonymous. I understand what powerless means. Powerless has nothing to do with love. It doesn't matter how much I loved my children or didn't love my children. I suffer from a disease that is more powerful than any type of love. More powerful. It doesn't, you know, I could want to love them. I could want to do the right thing, but I suffer from something that is so powerful that I just can't. And only when I came to Narcotics Anonymous, only when I connected with you guys, is the time when I understood, when I could finally understand and find people who understand what that truly felt like. You know, I remember during that time when I was in the house with the children, you know, my smoking partner, you know, she went off to get some money, man. And I don't know what for you guys, you know, when someone goes off and they're gonna go and get some money, they say they're gonna be back in like an hour, you know, and at 5 minutes is absolutely excruciating. Oh my gosh, you know, I'm looking out the window, I'm sweating, I'm waiting. Anyway, she called me back about an hour later and said to me, she's hysterical. She's, you know, she can't talk. And I'm saying, I can't understand what you're saying. You know, I can't understand what you're saying. You've been gone for ages. I can't understand your set. Finally, I managed to hear what she's saying. And she said, I was driving and I've just had a horrific car crash. The car is written off completely. And the first thing I said to her was, did you get the drugs? I don't want to know. I don't want to know like whether or not if you've got a broken leg, a broken collarbone. Do you know what I mean? We can talk about all that after. You went for drugs. I've heard you've got an horrific car crash. Did you get the drugs? You know, and this is the type of person that drugs turned me into, man. It turned me into that type of person. And the children got taken away from us, man. And when the children got taken away, you go to the police station, you know, you have to go as the parents to the police station. And I had written on the wall, neglect. And it broke my heart that they had written neglect. And I was kicking and screaming, thinking, I never neglected my children. You know what I mean? I used to feed my children. My children used to go to school, but emotionally and physically, I wasn't there for them. They wasn't getting what they needed, man. You know, and various things happened, man. And I ended up in another treatment center. And when I came out of this treatment center, I used, man. All of my bridges were burnt. My mum, my brothers, my sisters, nobody wanted to talk to me anymore. I'd burnt all of my bridges, man. And the only thing I had was Narcotics Anonymous. And it was the last thing that I tried and the only thing that seems to be working. You see, I was confused. I thought that there are people who have studied addiction for years, you know, therapists, counselors, and all of these great people. And they're all great people, don't get me wrong. These are wonderful people, and these people help to get me clean, right? But in my mind, I was thinking, they're the answer. I just couldn't understand how sitting in a church hall or sitting in meetings like this with other drug addicts was going to help me stay clean. How? You're just addicts like me. I didn't realize that by sitting with people like you, there's a power and an energy that starts to circulate. And in that power, I managed to stay clean. Narcotics Anonymous was like the last thing that I tried and the only thing that is working in my life up until today. I am absolutely blown away that all of the pain that I went through, all of the suffering, all of the jail sentences, my children being taken away from me. You know what I mean? My crack partner in prison, my mum not talking to me anymore. All of these things that I was ashamed about, I get to share with you guys. And now it turns into a gift because you guys can hear it and say, Aaron, I understand you. I'm not alone. And when I hear you nod your head, and when I hear that you identify with me, I feel like I'm not alone. And the therapeutic of one addict helping another addict brings healing, man. It brings healing. I never knew that drugs was not my problem. I had a me problem. I was the problem. It didn't matter where I took myself. I was the problem. I wasn't just allergic to drugs. I was also allergic to life. I was allergic to living. And when I hooked up with you guys showed me a way that I could live free. I never in a million years thought that I could get 1 day clean. 1 day clean. I couldn't imagine what life would be like clean. I thought it would be boring. I never realized that me smoking crack and then walking around and looking at the floor, picking up pieces, it wasn't even crack, trying to put it on a pipe to get another high. That was boring. I never knew that burgling people's houses and giving my money away to dealers and losing all my self-respect and no one talking to me anymore, that was boring. I never realized that making promises to myself that I was never going to do it again. Whenever I get my money, I'm going to do the right thing, and then still giving it away to dealers, that was boring. This life that I'm living now is far from boring. It's absolutely incredible. And that's because after my last relapse, someone took me to a meeting and they said, Aaron, you need to listen, man. You need to stop talking and you need to start to listen. And what I realized is that there were people in that room that were engaging in working the 12 steps. I heard about the 12 steps before because I used to go to meetings after the treatment centers. I didn't know what they were talking about when they talked about the 12 steps. I used to love all the stories like I've just now told you. But when they told me about the steps, my eyes would be shut. My ears would be shut. But I never realized that the steps was our solution. But in order to work the 12 steps, I needed to get a sponsor. You know, and when I first was looking for a sponsor, I was looking for a sponsor like me. Like, it needs to be a black guy. It needs to be someone who comes from my area. It needs to be someone who used like me. It needs to be someone. And I heard someone say, if you are drowning in a sea and you put your hand up for help, are you going to say, no, I don't want it to be a black hand. Can I have a white hand, please? Or actually, that's an Asian hand. Can I have a Chinese hand? You're just going to grab the hand and say, save me. If you know how to do it, save me. So I needed to get rid of all of my old street mentality, everything that I learned in the street. I needed to reverse that. And I needed to be open and honest to get help. To get help, man. You know, and these people, when I went to Narcotics Anonymous, they started to teach me slowly but surely that I could live. But in order for me to live, I needed to learn how to give. That was a strange concept for me because I'm coming here to help, thinking you guys are going to help me. And they're saying in order for you to get help, you need to be able to give help. And I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I'm like 6 days clean and they're telling me I need to be doing the coffee. They're telling me I need to be giving out the readings. They're telling me that I need to be reading the readings at the beginning. You know, whenever there's a reading going around, read the reading card. And I'm just thinking, but I need to be learning about this. And they were telling me that this wasn't about information. This was about application. This is about action. Nobody cares about what you know. All we care about is what you do. And a light bulb went off for me because I remember being in a crack house and someone opening up the basic text for me. And they opened up the basic text and they were telling me, You know, on page 76, we do recover, it says here. But while they were doing that, they were smoking crack. And I thought, hang on a minute. It doesn't matter what you know. It's about what you do here. It's about what you do. This is a program of action, taking action. You know, in our first step, step one, it's a question that says, am I willing to follow my sponsor's suggestion or not? There's other literature that says you don't need to know how this program works in order for it to, you just need to do it. We need to follow direction. So I started following in the footsteps of what other people did. And there was a guy, man, I remember this guy called Adam, right? Adam used just like how I used, and he came out of rehab and he had like 2 weeks clean. And I was jealous of Adam. I was like, how did Adam get 2 weeks clean? He was the most boring person that you could ever think of. And he was around the most boring people you could ever think of. But he had 2 weeks clean. So I said to myself, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stop hanging out with these people and I'm just going to hang out with Adam because I want to get them 2 weeks clean. And I just followed what he did. He was doing 2 meetings a day, 2 meetings a day. You know, I used to do like maybe 2 a week. And the rest of the time I was at the coffee shop. I started to do 2 meetings a day. Adam said that he's going to get the sponsor. I got the same sponsor Adam got, right? Adam said he was going to go to this group. And in this group, they read the basic text, the literature, the most boring meeting that you could think of in the whole area. He said that that's his home group. I didn't even know what a home group was. I said, I'm going to that meeting as well. I'm making that my home group. I did everything that Adam did. And as a result of that, I'm now 12 years clean, right? As a result, like, listen, this is just absolutely incredible. Do you know the girl that I spoke about? You know, the girl that I was smoking crack with and we did our first burglary and all of that? She come out of prison. She started following the NA program. She's got 13 years clean. Listen, do you know even more than that? Let me tell you even more than that. After we worked the 12 steps and we went to these meetings and hanged out with these people, we ended up getting back together and now we're married. Like, we don't argue about how much crack are we going to smoke or what we should take from somebody's house, you know, or who's got the biggest bit. We don't argue about that. We might argue about traditions. We had an argument this morning. Do you know what I mean? About something that's going on in NA, and we may have different points of it, but it's completely different. You remember all them children that I told you about that was taken into care because we couldn't look after them? We got all of them back and we are one family now. Like, this is absolutely incredible. Like, you know, there are so many gifts. I don't even live in London no more. I now live in Turkey. Like, me and this woman, like who I married, we're in business together. You know, we run a successful business together. I'm currently in New York because I've got a sponsor now that lives in New York. So I'm actually in his house in New York at the moment. You got to remember that this is the crackhead from London. I had nothing. I had absolutely nothing. And all of these gifts, I used to think that these were the gifts, and the more things I've got is the more excited I got. But the longer I've been around, do you know what the greatest gift of all of that is? The greatest gift is the obsession to use is no longer on me. That's the real gift. The real gift is I don't wake up in the morning and think to myself, how can I get another one? I don't wake up in the morning and think to myself, how can I get money out my mum? I don't wake up in the morning and think to myself, are they going to sentence me tomorrow? I don't have to live like that no more. And I never knew that I could live free like that. And in my recovery, as great as it's been, I've had people that's died in front of me, very, very close friends who died in front of me. Do you know what I mean? I've lost jobs in recovery. You know, me and my wife, we had an ectopic pregnancy. So we technically lost a child in recovery. So much has happened in recovery, good and bad. But because I keep coming back, because I've got a sponsor, because I work the steps, and all of this is free, by the way, I haven't had to use. The obsession to use has left me. I don't use drugs, not because I hate drugs. It's because I don't know where it's going to take me when I put it inside my system. You know, I learned that I'm allergic to drugs. In England, we got stinging nettles, right? And if you brush yourself along a stinging nettle, you get lumps in your hand. And if you scratch your hand, the lumps get worse. But I can't stop scratching my hand once I've started to scratch, even though I know it's getting worse. Well, that's what happens when I put drugs inside me. And that's why I don't use, because I know that once I put one inside me, I can't stop. I can't stop. But, you know, I never knew that I would be able to live life not even thinking about using a day at a time. You know, I mean, I now live a life where I can't even imagine, I don't even want to put something inside me. You know, I mean, I live a life of so much freedom. My mum, who wouldn't even talk to me, we're like best friends. She calls me up today. She calls me up and says to me, Aaron, I've got this situation happening. I've got that situation happening. Can you help me? I've got all of my family who wouldn't talk to me. Listen, my auntie's husband passed away recently passed away. And I got the phone call. I was at an airport and I got the phone call from my mum. She said, your auntie's husband, your uncle just passed away. She said, don't call her. Whatever you do, don't call her, because she is in a state. She won't talk to anybody. I'm an addict, right? So, you know, we don't normally listen. So I called her. And her son picked up the phone and he said, sorry, she won't talk to anyone. And I heard her in the background say, who is it? And she said, Aaron. He said, Aaron. And she said, pass the phone. I was the only person, the crackhead in the family was the only person that she was willing to talk to in the most painful moment in her life. And that's because you guys taught me an ability to listen, not to give advice, because we don't do that in NA. We listen. So, and I listened to my auntie, and my auntie didn't want the funeral and arrangements to go on without me being there. And I went and I was able to be there for my auntie. I mean, I've recently gone to see my dad. You know, I'm in America and I've gone to Guyana to see my dad. I haven't seen my dad in 25 years. I've not spoken to him in 25 years. But because of this program, you guys taught me. You taught me the spirit of forgiveness. And I wanted my children to forgive me for all of the wrongs that I had done. And while I was thinking about my children forgiving me, I thought, hang on a minute. I haven't forgiven my dad for all of the things that he's done for me and not being in my life. So why should I ask for forgiveness from my children? And I haven't even forgiven my own father. I'm going around the world doing NA, doing all these. I need to go and see my dad. And I've just come back from an amazing trip. And for the first time in 25 years, I was able to sit in front of my dad. And I didn't tell my dad, oh, you know, I forgive you for what you've done to me. I didn't do any of that. I was just there to love him. I was just there to be in his presence. I never knew that that type of thing was ever possible. You guys, you gave me my dad back. You gave me a wife. You know, you guys, you gave me my children back. You didn't even give me my life back because I never had a life. You guys gave me a life. You know, and what I learned when I first come here is repetition. They taught me in your first 5 years, keep on doing the same things over and over again. Keep on doing meetings, keep on doing step work, keep on doing service. It doesn't matter if you don't like them people. You need to be in that place. You need to keep on doing sponsorship. You need to keep on making them phone calls, and you do it and you do it and you do it and you do it so much that it feels abnormal not to do it. It becomes a way of life. It becomes a way of life. One of my first sponsors, Frankie, he says that it becomes like brushing your teeth. It becomes like going to a toilet when you wake up in the morning. You don't think about it, you just do it. You know, so now Narcotics Anonymous is not an effort. It's not something that I'm doing because I'm trying to get to a certain place. You guys and what we do here is now become a way of life. It's effortless. And when it's effortless, I'm able to continue to do it, man. And listen, I ain't an angel. I'm not an angel. I'm far from it. I make mistakes all the time. But I stay here. And because I stay here, I don't have to use a day at a time. It was Father's Day yesterday. My younger sister had to go to therapy because of the trauma that she had through my addiction. I had dealers that used to run inside my house looking for me. They smashed all my mum's windows. There was loads of stuff that went on while my innocent family were inside the home. You know, my sister, she has 4 children, and I've got other brothers. I am godfather to every single one of her children. And you know, she's not with the father of her children. And one of the little ones was drawing at school a Father's Day card. And they presented the Father's Day card to me. And I said to my sister, why are they presenting it to me? And they said that, Aaron, because you're the closest thing that they have to a father. And things like that are the priceless things that money can't buy, things that you guys gave me. You know, to think that them children consider me to be the closest thing to a father just shows how far I've come because of you guys, because of what you guys, you know, it talks that we need a personality change. And there's been so much change. It's not just changing my life, but in my family's lives as well. Like I can now be an asset. I can now enhance value in my family's life instead of being the one that everybody's worried about. When I first got clean, man, I first got clean Christmas, yeah? Family gathering, they put all the alcohol away, everyone's drinking, but they don't want me to see, they're a bit worried, they don't want me to relapse, you know. And the second year, and I'm so happy because they're like, Aaron, you got 1 year clean, and it's all attention around Aaron, we're so proud of you. And then the second year, I would see drink on the table, but they weren't drinking in front of me, but I was aware it was there. And in the third year, they were drinking in front of me, you know. And in the fourth year, they weren't even saying, Aaron, we're glad you're clean. Because they know Aaron lives a way of life that he ain't going to use. And I remember I robbed all of my mum. I robbed her peace of mind. And she got some money and she distributed all the money to the children. And I wanted to prove to my mother, Mum, I'm not using no more. So when I got all this money and all this, I bought music equipment. And what I did with the music equipment is every piece of equipment I bought, I would send my mum the receipt. Like, Mum, look, I did the right thing. I didn't use. Here's the receipt. Like, Mum, look, here's another receipt. Here's another receipt. And she called me up one day and she said, Aaron, I want you to do me a favor. I said, what? She said, stop sending me them receipts, man. I know you're clean now. And it was at that moment, I knew I gave my mum back her peace of mind. I knew I gave my mum back her peace of mind. This is incredible, man. Listen, you'd have to stop me, Paul, because I can go on and on and on and on with the gifts that this program has done. This is more than just not using drugs, man. This changes people's lives, that we have the ability to be a part of transforming people's lives. It's like a domino effect. If you can just help one person, you help their family, you help their children, you help their extended family, you help their community. That we have the power to do that, man. And we don't care if you're pink, if you're black, if you're white, if you're what religion you come from, what background you come from. We all stand together and we are doing what is absolutely incredible. We confuse them out there. I remember praying once and someone saying to me, but how can you pray if you're this religion and that person's that religion and this person's no religion but you're all together doing this? It's because we understand the pain and the depths of addiction. We know where we've been and we don't care. We just want to help each other and we want to listen and learn from people who have found a way out. That's all we care about. How do we get out, man? And we have found that way. And this is the reason why I say, and I said in the beginning, that we have the golden ticket. We have all got the golden ticket. We are all here today, man. We have struck gold. We have a society of men and women that are helping people all over the world, man. We are on here right now. People from South Africa, people from London, from Scotland. I'm in New York, and we're all here helping each other get another day clean. And it's free. And it's free. So listen, if you're detoxing, man, when you come off your detox, you know, even before, keep coming back to meetings. This stuff absolutely works. You know, if you're in treatment and you're clean, when you leave treatment, get yourself a home group, get yourself a sponsor, continue doing this. This actually works. It completely works, man. And you never, ever have to use again. You never, ever have to use again, but it's going to take action. My name's Aaron. I'm an addict, and I'll leave it there.
Wow, everyone can unmute and thank Aaron. Let's show Aaron some love.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Aaron!
Good
Job, bro. Awesome.
Thank you, sir.
Amazing.
Powerful. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Let me just hit stop recorder.
Oh, it's here, babe.